Welcome to Toot Your Own Horn Music Matters. Today I'm here with Amber Linde. Hello, Amber.
Hello, how are you?
I am great. I am so happy to have you and so excited for you to tell our audience about your musical journey. How did you choose a wind instrument?
Well, actually, okay, so this is umpteen years ago in fifth grade when I'm sitting there with my little buck to self. And I remember my director came up and said, clarinet. And I said, I'm playing clarinet.
Really?
And I stuck with clarinet until ninth grade. Just life was getting in the way. I mean, my mother had health problems. We had financial difficulties and everything. And grew up in the South. Nobody cares about music in the South. I hate to say this about the education system where I grew up. They don't care about the arts. There was no programs where I could get another instrument from school, and I had to quit. So, and
But wait a
I
second.
went year.
Wait a second. Your band director pointed at you in a school district that didn't support music, and you said yes for 4 years. Based on that, like what? Tell us a little more about that. Like, well,
I
how did
mean,
that stick so like that?
it was one of those things, and plus I'm that kid. I'm like, if you're gonna give me something, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna go like I don't like it in 3 seconds. I'm just like, if I don't get it, I'm gonna keep doing it until I get it. So I was first chair all through middle school. And when I got into my freshman year, so that was high school for us, I got in the upperclassmen band. So I was really good at it. I was really, it could have been something that I could have taken with me. But like I said, life happened. Life just happened. I wasn't in a family where there was a lot of financial wealth. And I think things would have been a lot different.
Did they take the instrument away from you when when you got to high school, or what made you have to stop? Like, what was the barrier?
So originally I had gotten a Yamaha clarinet. I remember because it was really a different looking case. And my mom had gotten it at a pawn shop.
Uh-huh.
And so it was never repaired or anything. And I managed to play on it,
Wow.
which is crazy because I heard somebody said the people who need really good instruments are the people learning, as opposed to people who are already really good. They don't need it. So it was just like, but I made it work. And then in it was eighth grade, my mom decided to surprise me because she said, you stuck with it. And she was like, I'm going to get you a clarinet. And I don't even remember what clarinet, because this is like total PTSD on my book. She bought me a new clarinet, but there were payments.
Right.
And she fell ill. And then I remember them repossessing my clarinet
Oh.
at the end of ninth grade. I was in tears. I was shattered. I was so humiliated. I didn't want to tell anybody. And that was another reason why I didn't sign up for 10th grade. And they're like, well, why weren't you wanting to be in band? I was like, I just don't want to do it anymore. Like I had that little attitude. I wasn't going to be like, well, my mom's been sick and in the hospital. We don't have the money. It's like, you don't say that, when you're 15, 16, you just don't.
For sure. And
So
you were so embarrassed, and also probably the instrument was so much better than the one you got from the pawn shop.
oh, it was amazing.
And so you probably just like it totally shut you down. It was like,
It was bad. It was bad. So, like I said, I stepped away from music for years. And then so I have a daughter. She's an only. I When she was younger, I tried to get her into music. It was funny because she had the embouchure for a trumpet. And but then she got braces, and she's like, it's too painful, and she just couldn't physically do it. And but ended up going into dance. She went to Shenandoah Conservatory. She's got her BFA. She owns her own dance company. It's amazing. But when she started doing that and I saw her performing again, what she did was she was dancing, and she would make the musicians come on stage with her. So she would integrate the arts together. And I was like, I want to start playing again. But I didn't want to go clarinet because I was still traumatized. So I literally got like a saxophone. Don't kill me, online. It was on Amazon. I just got one. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. And I went down to one of the music places, and I got lessons, and he was like, oh, you play clarinet. It's like riding a bike. And he was right. I mean, super novice, riding a bike. And then it was right before COVID. And he's like, there's all these community bands you could get into. And I was like, but I've been literally playing it for 3 months. And he's like, go to this one. So I did. It was Browningsville Cornet Band. And the lady named Amanda, and she's like, you'll figure it out. She said, give yourself about a year and a half, you'll figure it out. And she was right. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I like everything kind of broke down, but I loved the saxophone. It was so cool. And then I ended up joining some jazz bands, and then they're like, can you double on things? And then I was like, I I played clarinet. I mean, I honestly don't remember the third octave, but I was like, sure. So I got a pond clarinet. I wasn't going to spend, $1,000 on her because it's a doubling instrument. And then I was like, well, let me do flute because it was like, oh, it's the same fingers. Oh, great. Kind of saved my embouchure because I'm blowing instead of, ah.
Right.
So, I mean, it ended up working out. So now I'm a tripler. Yeah. So it was just fun. And it was really cool because with the collaboration with my daughter, one of the jazz bands, one of the Dennis Ferry, he's an arranger. He was out in Belgium, world tour, first trumpet player. He is in his 80s now, and he's like, oh, okay, you know what? I want to help arrange music. And I was like, we can't pay you. We're a nonprofit. We literally don't have any money.
Right.
And he's like, Amber, I don't care. I just want to do this. Just let me do it. And I was like, okay. So he's been arranging songs from the 20s and 30s for our jazz band to play, and then we'll record it. And we've been giving it to my daughter, to her dance company, to dance to.
How
It is
awesome
so cool.
that is so
It's
cool.
so cool. But you gotta have, I mean, most of us have day jobs, I mean, that's what's crazy about it. Someone in their 20s, with a couple kids, and you just don't have time. I didn't have time for any of this
Right.
until my daughter went off to college. And, I mean, it's always like the life gets in the way. And I don't make excuses, especially for women, but it is hard. It is hard when you have a family and you don't have, grandparents, and you don't have the support system. Sometimes you just go without until, I guess the cards fall into place again. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
such an inspiring story. All the collaboration that's come from picking up.
Oh, yeah. That's been cool. It's been so cool.
It is amazing. And so, how long have you been playing again?
So it was May of 2019. So, yeah. And then I had lessons up until COVID.
Huh?
And then the cornet band, the community band, the first band I was in, they were like, okay, if you're sick, stay home, but who wants to play? Everybody's like, ooh, we want to play. I mean, there was a couple people, yeah. I mean, the ones that were older, they're like, I am not risking this or nothing. But nobody got COVID. Nobody did.
Awesome.
I mean, it was just like we played outside, everybody was very respectful. I was like, I mean, there was a night I was like, hey, it could be allergies, it could be a cold. I ain't showing up. It was one of those things, and I mean, I think the musicians, they're very interlocking because they want to play, and they're not going to basically screw over their bandmates, just because they want to get out of the house for a couple hours. Right.
Right. For sure.
But our big problems, like we even go back to repair, we don't have an audience. Who are we playing for? I mean, I go through a lot of rehearsals, and I think that's another thing that's been really hard for the repair industry, because again, if you're just playing for rehearsals and if something's wonky, you're probably not going to get it fixed. But if you're going to be playing in front of 50 people or whatever, you're going to be like, I need to get this fixed. But there's just really not the shows because we can't get buttons. See, there's some idea, and it's frustrating.
But Amber, to help bring context to our audience, so you were playing, you were taking lessons, and tell us about what happened next. How does repair fit into all this?
Well, okay. So this is weird. Okay, so I've been a federal employee since I was in the Army in 1996, when civilian contracting, all this other fun stuff, up until January of this year. I did the deferred resignation program, but prior to that, I hate my job. I'll just tell you that it is a terrible job. It's a toxic job. It's not fun. And I'm tripling, again, I got all these instruments and everything else like that. Every time I would take my band instrument in, I get it back, it still wasn't fixed. And I didn't understand why it wasn't fixed. But everybody was telling me, do not try to fix it yourself. You will ruin it. And there was no point. so I went online and I found you. I couldn't even tell you how I was just like saxophone repair. I don't know. I wish I written it down how I found you, but yours came up. And then I was like, okay, well, let me read the reviews, glowing, glowing, glowing reviews. And I'd already had, because of the military, they're really big on online training.
Right.
Because you can imagine, you know, you gotta teach people, in the middle of a jungle or in the middle of a desert, they will find a way to teach you. And I was like, I think this is doable. The closest instrument repair course is on the Eastern Shore in Maryland, which is several hours away. And there's just no way. Again, in my situation, I can't go off to college again. It's just, I'm done with school. I'm not anymore. So that's how I found you. And then
It's becoming like a second career a little bit. Like you're trying to turn it into a job, right?
yes. So once I everything with the deferred resignation, again, I didn't expect that. I was already enrolled in your course, actually, I think because it was getting ready to start. And I was like, is it possible that I can get in on this? And you were like, thumbs up, yep, it's gonna start, no big deal. And then everything happened. And so I'm on the deferred resignation. And I told my husband, hey, I didn't go to school. Uh, Good thing I'm still getting paid through September. However, I want to start my own business. And me and my first husband, we had a salon together. So I know how to get the licensing. I know how to get all that stuff. I know, all that tricks in the trade and everything else like that. I know how to do inventory, payroll, blah, 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 but it's just me. So I don't have to worry about it. And like I said, I've had 3 paid jobs. And I know I've only technically started when the class started in the end of February, early March.
Right.
So I need just diligence and tearing up my own instruments and putting them back and saying, Amber, you better put this back together because you won't be going to rehearsal next week. So it's like motivation to get it done.
And build that line. Like you were saying that some music store gave you a test. That's awesome. So have musicians play on them. We really believe in building a line because meaning find more people, instruments like that, find more people willing to give you stuff because the more stuff you see, the faster it will come because of the variety, right? And having other people play on it to give you confidence that you're good enough, you're done. Most of our students do find work when they get our goal is 80%. And I don't mean that in a condescending way, but if we can get you to 80%, people will hire you, people will work with you, people will train you because you're good enough to support as opposed to starting from the beginning because you've made the investment in yourself, right? And so it really works. And you'll find that people will accept 80% quite happily as your skills continue to improve, which puts you in a wonderful place of being able to be paid for learning.
It's very true. Now, Duke has been awesome. So Duke is my instructor that you have assigned me with. He is amazing. He was funny though. He was like, when you go to these places, he's like, remind them that you literally just started this year. He's like, don't let them give you some junker that they just are trying to unload. He said, it's not fair. And he said, don't let him beat you up and don't let him, because again, I've seen 2 business models. The one down the street where he doesn't want to share with anybody.
Right.
He didn't want to contract out. It was just, and then it was, yeah. We have the other guy, the awesome guy. But what he found out is that it's mostly older people that do repairs. And he was buying all these smaller shops up and contracting work to them. So it's just him and another guy that does repairs at a shop. But he's like, oh my God, Amber, there's so much in the world to go around. He said, it's ridiculous that people would hide stuff because there's no reason. He said, but you got to have the skills to be able to do it. And he said, that's when he was like, once you are vetted, I can start sending business your way. And then I can work contracting through him. So, but here he is so open, and then you have someone else who's completely closed.
But that's exactly how this is. That's exactly what we have.
Yeah.
We have found that there's 2 camps, and it's unfortunately pretty black and white. Just go with where you find it, and your enthusiasm is infectious. And I can't believe your story about having put it down for so long and how devastating that story was. But at the same time, Thank God bless your daughter for being raised in by a family that cared about the arts. And look at all the beauty that is coming from what you have done with her. Amber, if somebody is loving this story and really just needs to become a little more inspired to choose to play a wind instrument, what would you tell them to do it right now?
Don't be afraid to go up in someone's face and say, "This is what I wanna do." Honestly, I mean, if you're just like, "Yeah, I'll send a little passive email," don't. Just walk up and say, "I want to learn this." It doesn't matter if you're 20, 40, 80, it doesn't matter. If it's something you've always wanted to do or something you love or something you put down, I've met many comeback musicians in these jazz bands. I'd say half were pro and now they're like semi-pro and they're just retired and they wanna play, or they were with military bands and stuff. These people are amazing. I'm always floored. I'm always like, I'm getting all your knowledge and it's seeping into me. And meanwhile, our comeback musicians, it's like we all learn together. It's so cool. We'll share theory. We'll share. I mean, even with, I mean, this one guy, he was doubling on flute, and I was like, you just have to torque your headpiece towards you. And he's like, "Woo, thanks, doc." I was like, "Yeah," I mean, so it's just like, but you have to be able to talk to people, and I'm total introvert, believe it or not. I'm very much introverted, but the worst anyone can say to you is no. But then someone's going to say yes, and just go. Community bands are amazing. They are desperate for people too, just desperate, more desperate for people to listen to us. And it's crazy. I don't know how to get it as far as politically, if you want to look at the big thing. I don't know how to get like states to recognize the arts. I know the federal don't want to do it.
The main
But
thing
yeah.
is just join the band. Find a band to join, and you are a person. Your vote counts, your playing counts, your participation counts. Join the band.
By the way, those band things are at your local repair shop because they'll even put, "Hey, so and so, go audition, go call them, go join in, pay $10 and be in a band for a year." Your local, yeah, your repair person is the center of all that. They know all.
They aren't if they aren't called Wind Repair Training Academy or Lisa's Clarinet Shop, and we will help you find somebody.
Yeah, I could find stuff in Maryland too. So just
There you go, for sure.